Hello and welcome to Reasonable. In today's video, we're going to talk about the polar vortex. The polar vortex is an atmospheric phenomenon that has recently gained a lot of media attention and general interest. In recent times, and more specifically in February 2023, a large amount of reports and articles were published on the disruption of the polar vortex. These alarming articles about the disruption of the polar vortex and its possible impact on the weather led to a huge increase in interest in this topic. That being said, let's try to unravel the mysteries of this phenomenon and explore the potential consequences that disruptions of the polar vortex might unleash upon our society, climate, and delicate ecosystems. The polar vortex is a large-scale, low-pressure system of swirling cold air that typically resides near the Earth's poles. The polar vortex forms due to the temperature contrast between the cold polar regions and the warmer equatorial regions of the Earth. This temperature difference drives the circulation of air masses, creating a swirling pattern of low-pressure cold air. It plays a crucial role in regulating weather patterns and jet streams, influencing temperature extremes and weather events in various regions. The polar vortex operates within the stratosphere and troposphere, Earth's atmospheric layers. In the stratosphere, it influences high-altitude winds, while in the troposphere, it affects surface-level weather patterns. Because of the differences between both layers, we divide the polar vortex into an upper stratospheric and a lower tropospheric part. Both vortices play crucial roles in shaping climate and weather events, impacting phenomena like extreme cold outbreaks, storm tracks, and jet stream behavior. Polar vortex disruptions occur due to complex interactions between different layers of Earth's atmosphere. The troposphere, where most weather occurs, and the stratosphere above it are connected. When specific atmospheric patterns align, such as strong waves in the jet stream, they can disturb the polar vortex. This disruption weakens its structure, or causes it to split into smaller vortices, altering the distribution of cold air. Disruptions in these layers can lead to shifts in jet streams and extreme weather events, impacting regions far from the poles. During winter, the polar vortex can weaken, allowing cold air to spill into lower latitudes. This can result in prolonged and severe winter weather, including cold spells, heavy snowfall, and icy conditions. During summer, a weakened polar vortex can lead to altered jet streams, causing prolonged weather patterns. This can result in heat waves, droughts, or heavy rainfall events in different regions throughout the world, affecting agriculture, water resources, and daily life. Now that we've got a grasp of what the polar vortex actually is, let's uncover the ties between the polar vortex and our ever-evolving climate. As our planet experiences the impacts of climate change, the temperature contrast between the polar regions and lower latitudes undergoes transformation. This delicate equilibrium has far-reaching implications for the stability of the polar vortex. Research indicates that diminishing Arctic sea ice, due to climate change, can disrupt the vortex, leading to wavier jet streams and prolonged weather extremes. According to sources like the National Center for Atmospheric Research and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, mostly known as NASA, the warming Arctic is influencing the stability of the polar vortex. Studies suggest diminishing sea ice intensifies the disruptions in the polar vortex, increasing the likelihood of extreme weather events. The connection underscores the complex interplay between a changing climate and the stability of atmospheric systems, with potential impacts on global weather patterns and local environments. However, the connection between climate change and recent polar vortex disruptions is an area of ongoing research. While evidence suggests that a warming Arctic may influence the polar vortex, the exact mechanisms and extent of this relationship are still being studied. Further investigation is needed to fully understand and quantify the impact of climate change on polar vortex behavior and its implications for global weather patterns. Now, what about the alarming reports on the disruption of the polar vortex? Well, several big publications such as the Washington Post, The Guardian, and Fox Weather reported on the polar vortex disruption in February and March 2023. This was mostly based on newly published observations by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The articles detailed a massive warming event in the stratosphere above the North Pole that led to the disruption of the polar vortex. The last time a sudden stratospheric warming event occurred was on the 5th of January 2021, Just over a month later, the most dramatic cold air outbreak since 1989 plunged the central U.S. into a historic deep freeze, causing the collapse of Texas's power grid, claiming at least 330 lives and incurring more than $27 billion in damages. Quite shockingly, areas of southern Texas actually experienced colder temperatures than parts of Alaska during this cold air outbreak in February 2021. This horrific event serves as an example of the potential connections between sudden stratospheric warming events, polar vortex disruptions, and extreme weather events in lower latitude. It highlights the sometimes far-reaching consequences of changes in atmospheric circulation patterns that can be influenced by various factors, including climate change. It also explains some of the alarming messaging in news articles on the polar vortex disruptions published in February 2023. Luckily, this year's sudden stratospheric warming did not result in such a disastrous extreme weather event, at least not on the scale of 2021. Some findings suggest an increased frequency of polar vortex disruptions in recent decades. Arctic warming driven by climate change can potentially weaken the polar vortex, leading to more meandering jet streams and prolonged weather patterns. However, as of now, there does not seem to be any convincing evidence of a long-term trend in the polar vortex. We've only been observing the polar vortex directly since the 1950s, and that's simply not very long to understand what kind of natural variability it might be capable of. In fact, a researcher from the AGU, a scientific association whose mission is to promote discovery in Earth and space science, created a historical reconstruction on polar vortex disruptions. This reconstruction showed no long-term trend and no big differences in recent decades compared to previous decades. In other words, attributing all polar vortex disruptions solely to climate change is incorrect, as natural variability also plays a big role. So, what could all of this mean for humans and our day-to-day life? Well, in the grand symphony of our planet, the polar vortex plays a unique and crucial role, connecting climate, weather, and ecosystems. In that sense, it can serve as a reminder that our planet's systems are interconnected. Disruption of the polar vortex can have far-reaching effects on Earth's climate and weather. As the vortex weakens or shifts, it can alter jet stream patterns, leading to prolonged and extreme weather events such as cold outbreaks or heat waves in different regions in the world. These events can impact transportation, energy requirements, and agriculture. Potential consequences encompass power blackouts, supply chain interruptions, elevated health hazards from extreme cold or heat, and altered weather patterns affecting infrastructure. And the impacts go beyond our daily weather. A disrupted polar vortex can accelerate the melting of Arctic ice, contributing to rising sea levels and altering ocean currents. Yet, amid these challenges, there's hope. By studying the polar vortex and its effects, we gain valuable insights into the delicate interplay between Earth systems. While there's growing evidence of connections between vortex changes and extreme weather, ongoing research aims to fully comprehend how disruptions affect various aspects of our planet, including weather patterns, agriculture, energy demand, and sea level rise. Thanks for watching this video. Let us know what you think of our analysis in the comment section, and make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos and updates.